Welcome back, Juventinita, to the Juventinita, Back to Black and White podcast. My name is Angelo and I, and I'm live from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And yes, we're finally back. We're doing guests. Unfortunately, it was a shit game today, but episode number 49 and one closer to the big 5-0. And we're going to have a very special guest for that one. One of the OGs, but without further ado for that, we'll leave that till then. But yeah, another new guest, another first time podcaster, and yeah, what an interesting way to to bring this up after not being really available for the last few games. Just to preface this 3-game stretch that we're in of playing relegation fighters as well as the newly promoted squads. It's kind of taken a turn the last 2 games, and I know we play Spezia on the weekend and Barcelona in the midweek, but we'll kind of touch on that towards the end of the episode. But without further ado, Angelo from originally from Reggio Emilia, but as of right now he's in Texas. So welcome to the show, Angelo.
Thank you, Daniel. How are you doing?
Pretty good, pretty well. Barring today's display, pretty good. But we're kind of getting back into everything, with the podcasting, with the edits, and I'm doing a lot better than I was a couple weeks ago. That's for sure. But yeah, let's get off to the usual start. Today might be a little bit clunky, being the first time, not interviewing my buddies, but so let's see how it goes. Obviously, having a new guest, we always like to find out how they became a Juve fan, because I like to hear the stories, and I like to hear what kind of fan. If you got any family rivalries, your favorite players, where do you watch your games alone? Like how particularly do you watch your game today, Angelo? Like I said, the floor is yours. How'd you become a Juve fan?
So I grew up alongside my cousins, and one of them was pretty big Juventus fan, and the other was Inter fan. And I specifically remember my older cousin had like a Del Piero jersey. I think it was from 2009 or something.
Oh, really?
Had the Holland grip in the front with the yellow letters and numbers. I think that was the best kit. And
Yeah.
growing up alongside them, I chose to be a Juventinita. And yeah.
Yeah, so that must be a pretty strong rivalry. Do you still, obviously, did they make the move with you, or are they still back in the motherland there?
They're still back in Italy.
Yeah, so do you regularly just shit talk them, or how is it? Are you pretty close with them, or?
Yeah, I'm pretty close. I usually talk to them on WhatsApp.
Yeah, no, I know the feeling. I've had a couple relatives, an uncle, but yeah, it's just unfortunate that they have to cheer for those squads. But yeah, how'd you watch the game? Is it usually by yourself, or
Yeah,
are
by myself.
your parents follow, or not really?
Well, they don't really watch.
Like mine. But no, that's good to hear. It's funny you speak of that jersey with the yellow, and I didn't realize what New Holland was until I'm not sure if you've seen it in around Texas, but I guess it's a farming equipment manufacturer that I guess is a subsidiary of Fiat at the time. And I was driving, I can't remember where in Alberta, but we were driving. It could have been to Edmonton, which is the capital north of us, but just seeing it on a piece of equipment, I'm like, what the fuck? The hell is that shit? That's our low. That's our sponsor. But yeah, no, I love that jersey. I'm still looking for the person to give that one away to, that I have here, but we'll definitely have to get that wrapped up, guys. There's so much I got to catch up on. It's hilarious. But yeah, let's just continue on with this. And I hope if you're still watching, please let us know. Drop a like, smash the subscribe. That's one thing that I've been noticing. Just hit that subscribe for all you new fans out there, new listeners. It really helps us here, and send out the message that obviously we have the podcast, new content, new obviously guests, and we hope that you're listening on one of the channels, whether that be YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, Google Podcasts. And I want to try and get into live streaming. I know a lot of the guys are doing it, but I got to get some research in and maybe some new equipment because we had a little bit of a difficulty getting this interview started. But yeah, thanks for all the support as always, guys, and stay tuned for more. And let's get right into it. For news, I think the really only key things that we had to talk about for this game was that Weston McKennie was back in the lineup after he passed his COVID negative. His test was negative, so he slotted back into the lineup after contracting his COVID. And really, we're waiting on pins and needles for Ronaldo. Another negative test before this game, I believe it was. I think there's another one scheduled probably for tomorrow, and we're gonna have to ride this one out to see if he's going to be able to play against Barcelona on I want to say Wednesday. So we do have a few days in between now and then, and I mean it's a hope. You look at this result today, 1-1 to Verona, which was such a painful watch. The first half I think was very stagnant, and really it seemed like everyone was rusty. The passes weren't going as planned, and not really a strong first half performance until we see a couple things that happen in the second half that we'll get into. But before we look at that, kind of touch back, because again I haven't really commented on any of the games that we've played so far. Obviously having Napoli, forfeit that game, or well, whatever you want to call it, give us a 3-0 win there. Put us in a weird spot going into the Dinamo Kiev game, and then you have, which I found that we performed pretty well. And yes, I would say that Dinamo Kiev was in that game. They were not putting up a fight. But we were just too much to handle for them, and thankfully we picked up a 2-0 win on the road. That was really nice to see. Yep. Because usually going into Ukraine, you don't know how the weather's going to be like. You don't know if there's going to be the motivation, but it was a good effort. Then we go up against Crotone, and it just was not. It was a game that we really were up against it. And by that, I mean just the way these calls were going. I mean, sure, I wouldn't say we were world beaters in that game, but, that red card, just unbelievable. And I guess, as all of you have known watching the game today, Chiesa wasn't going to be in the lineup because of that, obviously with a match ban there. And then we get into the Morata second goal, phantom offside, where I look at that and I don't even see them draw the lines properly. So that's where then I see, okay, what is this being used for? And, there's a big discussion on Twitter as well as in the media of, what obviously you could say, yes, if you're a millimeter offside, you're an inch offside. Okay, yeah, you're offside, but is that really the intent of the rule, and is that the intent of VAR? Because from my opinion of what VAR is supposed to be used on, we're only supposed to be looking at clear and obvious mistakes. To me, that's not a clear and obvious mistake, because the ref, he's not going to tell on a fraction if he's on or off. So there's no way they should even be looking at it. And Angelo, I'll let you come in now. What are your thoughts? Obviously, we didn't play Napoli. That whole, I don't know if you want to comment on that whole conundrum of them playing or not. You can if you want.
I mean, I'll take the dub.
Yeah, exactly. And get into, Kiev and maybe Crotone. What your thoughts, obviously, coming into this game, how we were playing, how you saw us. Because, I mean, the Roma game wasn't great at all. Yeah. And I thought the Samp game, which I was on La Panchina, was a good game, but I think we were wasting too many chances. Like it took Ronaldo 10 shots to get 1 goal. So
Yeah, bunch of wasted
um,
chances from Ramsey.
yeah. So kind of give us your thoughts on what you've been noticing with the team so far, how we've been playing.
I think, I mean, it's still the start of the season,
Right.
and Pirlo's like trying stuff, but I'm just gonna say one thing: don't ever start Bernardeschi again. Send that man to Middle East.
I agree.
Come
I
on, fuck
agree.
out of here, dude. That pass from Rabiot, he could have scored easily. No, just sends it to the just right of the
Yeah.
fucking goalkeeper. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I agree. And it's it's kind of a trend with Pirlo, and I've been noticing this. He's kind of getting stubborn, and I know Saturday was very criticized. He's criticized very heavily about being stubborn, not changing certain players, but this three man at the back. What are your thoughts on it? Obviously, thinking of before this game, were you okay with us lining up in this formation? And like, what are your thoughts on how we've been playing so far? Obviously, having one winger as like I said, it's a three on paper, and then you get into defensive position, then
Yeah,
maybe you go 4-4-2 or whatever, 4-5-1, whatever you need to do. But in terms of how we attack, excuse me, how we attack, it's I don't know. I just think it's we've played this formation before,
hmm
and it's been found out. Like we got all the way to the finals basically with this formation in Berlin,
hmm
and we go up a team that's playing 4-4-3 in Barcelona, and just completely railroaded us, to say the least. I think. I mean, we were in that game, but I just think that they were very good. They were playing very well in that final, and they were taking their chances because they were playing out wide. And you look at the responsibility, and I said it in a tweet today. If you don't have Prime Asamoah and Prime Lichtsteiner,
hmm
you're really screwed when you have two guys that are not really like they got to play on both sides of the ball.
Yeah,
You got to be going up and down that flank, and really Bernadeschi, a guy who is obviously unsure of himself, no confidence, and you put him in a position where everybody's been hailing him online, on Twitter, on this and that, which I don't understand. But been hail, oh, this, yeah, he's supposed to play in the right wing back, left, whatever wing back position. He's gonna be great, and I just don't see it. He doesn't do enough in the right wing role or left wing role, or kind of free moving play striker or whatever you want to call it. I don't see him do enough there to now give him the responsibility that he's got to go all the way back and up.
yeah,
I just and there's many instances in this game that we're going to get into of one side blowing a gasket, giving up the ball, giving the other team the ball, and it's a free for all counter coming down against us. And it seemed like Verona was a smart team. They knew how to play. They knew their strengths. They knew their weaknesses, and they definitely took advantage when we coughed up the ball on either side of the wing, and really led to one of the goals, in my opinion. So
hmm
let's obviously look at the formation that we started with. Again, like I said, you take it with a grain of salt of how it actually lines up, because it changes within movements of from attack to defense. But generally speaking, we obviously had Tech as usual in goal. We had Demiral, Bonucci, Danilo, which a lot of people were happy that Demiral is getting his chance, which is nice to see.
yep,
Um, One thing I got to ask about Demiral, though, and this is maybe just a personal opinion, and maybe because I'm unsure of a or a younger guy coming in, I find that he needs to refine still a little too much. There was a tackle that he made that, if he misses by a centimeter, the
yeah.
guy's down in the box. That's a foul penalty right
Penalty.
there.
Yep.
So to me, I like the aggression,
hmm
but the only thing that worries me is we're not in this time of the 80s, 90s, where you could go in for a nice fucking tackle and you're not worried that you're going to get a penalty. Now all of a sudden
Yeah.
today they call everything.
Yeah.
So that's my only worry with Demirel. Maybe it's just premature, but
Yeah.
we're gonna have to
I
wait and
agree.
see. Then we obviously had Rabiot and Artur as the holding players in the 3-4-1-2. Bernard, like I said, Bernardeschi and Cuadrado as your wing backs. They're going up and down the flanks with Ramsey, Morata, and Dybala as your kind of tried in up top. I was happy to see Dybala back. I
Yeah.
knew there was going to be a lot of haters out there that were expecting a perfect game. I knew that wasn't going to happen. I believe the stat was he was 91 days from when he started his last game to when. So that pretty much you're looking at 3 months there.
Yeah.
And I think it's a tough ask to expect the same. Now, it was weird when some things happened where he kind of was moving it. And I was telling people, I'm saying, hey, this is a team that we're playing against you want to say a lower competition.
Hmm.
You want to use this for him to work into his form so that when we get to the Barcelona, he's kind of fit. So I wasn't worried if he was going to miss.
Yeah.
You want to win the game, but if he misses 10 chances, whatever, he's still working at it.
Hmm.
That's fine. But what did you think of the lineup? I know you've mentioned the Bernardeschi, which I mean is proven in the game, but if you want to comment on the lineup,
um. Honestly, like last season, we didn't do too bad with
right?
four in the back. So like, why change it? Like, I'm pretty sure all
True.
the new players are pretty used to the four in the back, and now you change it to a three. And
With a Danilo too, right?
yeah, I mean he's not doing too bad, honestly.
Right. I agree.
Better than Bonucci, that motherfucker. Thank God he got injured. I don't want to see him play again.
Yeah, that's crazy. But I agree with you. I mean, I know we go back into four, but it seems like to me, I was what, and again, I mentioned this earlier about Pirlo, and I think the leash is now getting a little bit shorter and shorter with the fans because you got to be learning. You might not have the experience as everyone else, as all these other managers that have been coaching for a while, which we understand, but you got to be learning from your mistakes. And I found that when we had a lineup that was okay against Sampdoria that I thought was good, and you took momentum. And then I noticed that as soon as we, into that next game, which was against Roma, he makes it completely different. He puts Kulusevski on the left, and he starts switching things around. And I'm going, well, what the hell? Why the hell are you changing what wasn't broke?
Yeah.
Like we had a decent first game, even though they said it was like a 5 at the back. It's 3 at the back. And so he goes and changes that, and we look awful.
Yeah.
And then obviously we don't play against Napoli. And I don't see why, like my perspective on the 3 at the back. One, we've seen it not work, and teams handily smack us for playing in the 3 at the back in the past.
Hmm.
I'm not just talking this season. I'm talking about when Conte had it, when Allegri had it. Obviously, we moved on to 4. Second issue I have with 3 at the back is we don't have the guns, meaning center backs to withhandle, to withstand, injuries and fatigue and COVID and all this shit.
Yeah.
So, like you said, Bonucci gets hurt. Delict is already hurt, and we don't know when he's
And we
coming
don't
back.
even have Chiellini. That old
And
man needs
Kili,
to retire.
exactly. So, I mean, well, see, the thing is, I heard it wasn't that bad with Chiellini. I think Chiellini, they got to do what they do with like Kawhi Leonard and, even some quarterbacks that are older in the NFL and, some players in different sports. They got to retain those minutes. They got to keep those minutes as low as possible, because the guy is prone to injury.
Hmm.
So there's no need in, like, I don't know why Italy's calling him up. I really don't understand.
Yeah.
because that's just gonna fuck with us. Even next year, right? That's a guy that you're gonna want in the Euros. So what's the point of fucking around with that and getting him injured to play in these stupid Nations League crap? That means nothing.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. So we got to dial that back. But again, so like you said perfectly, no Chiellini. Bonucci gets hurt. Delict is already hurt. Now we're going into Barcelona. What are you going to do? Now you're going to use two wing backs. Like it makes zero sense to play with three. And that's kind of the thing that, I'm worried about with Pirlo is he still going to be too stubborn? I hope we go to 4 against Barcelona. I really do. I hope someone can be ready to step into that role.
Yeah.
Maybe Chiellini. Hopefully, he's gonna be. I'm not sure. I gotta look into that, guys. And hopefully, when I get the preview out for that, we can find out if he's gonna be in the lineup or not. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. We went up against a team that played relatively a similar formation. They were more of a 3-4-3. And maybe we'll talk a little bit later of how we expect this team to line up. But, they line up with 3-4-3. Sylvester in goal, who had an amazing game, was killing us with the saves he was making, especially at the end of the game there. 3-4 occasions where we could have easily scored a goal.
Yeah.
And then they have obviously Ceccherini, Lovato, Imperador, Lazovic, Tamizi, Vieira, Davide Faraoni, Colli, Kalinic, and Zaccagni as the 3 up top. So Juric had, I think a pretty good lineup to, hang with us. Like I said, they played to their strengths and were countering every time either Cuadrado or Bernardeschi gave up the ball. And to me, like you said, I think this is Bernardeschi's last chance. He did not have a game to remember. Like you said, he had the one miss, and we'll kind of get into what happened minute by or kind of a smaller recap. Kind of change it up from what I used to do and just literally going every minute on every chance. We'll get into what the main points were and the main sticking points, but yeah, I don't see. I agree. If we can send them out even in the January window, I would, because there's too many people asking. Yeah, give him a chance so he can improve his value. Give him a chance, then maybe we'll get a gem. Maybe it'll turn around. I don't see it turning around because I don't see.
Dude's finished.
I don't see where he's gonna go. What do you think?
Dude's is finished. That's all I gotta say.
We got other player. We got other people on Twitter. They got memes going. He could do the fucking cut the grass. He can do the merch, the shopping attendant. He can, all the stuff. Maybe paint the lines. I don't know. That's really all.
The women's team.
Yeah. Well, you could probably you could dial in, can say he's had a sex change,
Yep.
and fit right in. But yeah, no, I don't know how people defend this guy. Yeah. I really don't. But let's get into the game. We're on the 16th minute. Hellas had a good chance. Obviously, they were offside, but they buried one in the back of the net, which was called back. Mm-hmm. And really, like I said, it was kind of back and forth. Passes were not really, Artur had some questions. Some fans had questions about him. I thought he was okay. I thought he played an okay game. He had like 94% passing accuracy, which was incredible. And like clearances, takeaways, he was up there towards the top. So I thought he played an okay game. I think that mix, I think him and a couple of other guys that are newer are going to find their way throughout the kind of first half of the season, which is unfortunate, but I still think they have a lot to grow. in this league and with the team and how we want to play. But then you have Cuadrado, and he's wide open on the right side of the box and just clangs one off the crossbar. I don't know what to say, but you got to bury that. That would have been huge at that point, but it's just the guy. If it's either he's not clinical enough now, and I know that people will be like, well, he'll give the assist when it really matters, or he'll score a clinical goal, which usually happens when we talk badly about him, but it's just not good enough. We need more consistency. I think the reason why Juve hasn't been, and I hope with the emergence of, Kulusevski, Morata, Dybala probably contributing some more when he gets back. We need some more balanced scoring, right? You need some more scoring from the midfield, etc. So when you have a guy that's consistently, his crosses are awful. And I honestly, I think Cuadrado needs to go to the bench. He's more of a guy is going to help. And I think even the formation that I want to play is going to be more conducive for him. And it's going to be a way better system so that he could take advantage of with the skills he has, having that quick burst of pace, not having to deal with, defensive responsibilities, and just being able to go in there and take on defenders. And I noticed like he just gets fatigued and he makes stupid decisions. Same with Bernardeschi, doing too much all the time and then losing the ball and it's coming back the other way. So and his crosses, the crosses were just awful. I think Bernardeschi had one decent in the second half. And like you said, that huge miss by Bernardeschi, I can't remember what minute it was, but just shocking, man.
Yeah.
And then obviously towards the end of the first half, we get the Morata goal, which again, so it comes down to this. Obviously there's a lot of shit talkers saying that Juve gets all the calls, which really hasn't been the case. Has this been disproven in the last 2 games or so, because we've been screwed out of goals that I think should be allowed. You look at how they draw the line from the shoulder or the knee or whatever the fuck they were using, and just like how minuscule that. And sure, like you said, by the letter of the law, yeah, it's offside, but like I said, my case is it's not a clear and obvious error, so there's no need to use the VAR. And I got a problem is when you have the incident with Chiesa and they don't even go to look to VAR.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you say to this, Angelo?
The league is corrupt. I remember the Inter and Genoa game. Martinez did an obvious tackle and that wasn't even called.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
And in Crotone, that offside rule was using his feet, right? And I'm not really familiar with the offside rule. Like this game, they used his armpit. Like what?
Okay, so I'll kind of explain from what I know, right? Yeah. Essentially, any part of your body that you can use to score, right? So
his armpit or arm?
So basically, you can go from shoulders down, chest, knees, feet, head, right?
Yeah.
But like I said, they didn't even, from the image that I was seeing on Twitter and from what I saw during the game, they didn't even draw it right.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what the fuck they called. I don't know. I honestly don't know how they called that one, to be honest. And it's just getting ridiculous. That's not what it's meant to be. And if you watch hockey or not, they have a similar offside rule where we're looking at skates at a millimeter, skates at like a millimeter over, and it's like
that's crazy.
That's not the point, and they'll call it after 5 minutes. 5 minutes will go on, and then a goal will happen, and they'll be like, "Oh, well, the guy 5 minutes ago was offside, and they didn't go out of the zone," and they'll call it back, and it'll call the goal back. So it's there's way too much. That's going way too deep into what it actually needs to be used for. Um, but yeah, then at the end of the half too, there was, I don't know if you saw that handball or whatever, that potential handball that came off Bonucci's arm.
Pretty sure it was off the shoulder. I think.
Was it off the shoulder?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty
So
sure it was.
I don't know why. I don't know why I didn't see it particularly, because well, I obviously saw it at the end there, and then they were talking about it. I think I turned to the other game that was on, and then by the time I changed back to, it was right at the beginning of half. So I was thankful that, and I thought they might have called something, just the way I had seen it in live time. Thankfully that didn't go. But yeah, Dybala, he had a rusty first half, and I wasn't really surprised, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I said, he's had enough time off that it's just you got no rhythm at that point. So hopefully in this Barca game he can show a lot more. That, I think, is where you want to be critical if you do going forward.
Pretty, pretty good towards the end.
Yeah, well, we'll get into that. So obviously we get into the second half, and you're kind of again going back and forth, trading chances. And Favili, our ex, comes on the pitch around the 50 and change, maybe late 50th minute, and off of the break, off of a Bernardeschi mistake, they score off the break, and then he gets injured and he has to go off, which was just heartbreak city there. If you're a player, just to have sympathy for the guy, because
Yeah.
you come on the pitch there, you score a goal, and then right away you like pull a hamstring or something. It's just the most ironic thing I've ever heard. But yeah, so they score, and now we're down in a game that, like I said, we had the three toughest games were Samp, I would say Roma and Napoli, and then you have the three promotion teams coming up in Crotone, Verona, and obviously Spezia, which is on the weekend, I believe on Sunday, next Sunday. So this should have been our easiest three games all year. And they're up 1-0. Right after that, Kulusevski comes on for Bernardeschi, thank God. And I don't know, there's been a lot of shit talking on all players, whether it be Chiesa or Kulusevski or whoever, Artur, Morata. All the newer players have been, shit talked at some point or another. I actually have liked what Kulusevski's at, especially in the first game that I watched, and other instances. I find that he adds like a lot of energy, and he was on the ball as soon as he came onto the pitch. Almost reminded me of like Dybala last year, where every time he would come on, if he was subbed on, he had that burst of energy. So he was creating a lot of chances, and we're looking a lot better. Then you get to I want to get this right, the 75th minute, and Bonucci pulls up. And they were even kind of using him down the middle as kind of an extra passer, which I thought was really fucking strange in the first place, but because it's just going to give us more problems on the defensive end. But I think they kind of noticed that, what being able to get that guy, if you're able to get Bonucci up in there as an extra passer, you're able to keep the ball when you have the ball back and move into the offensive end a lot easier. So that was nice. But then when you saw him go past midfield and he pulls up, you're like, oh shit. I mean, some people are pretty happy. But I mean, I don't know. I don't think we can afford to lose players. Like, as much as you can hate the guy, it's just not looking good on the bench. So you're kind of like shit. But then Dybala gets the armband. And I don't know if you go Super Saiyan mode or what once you get put the fucking band on, because it was literally a different game. Frabotta comes on for Bonucci, and it's a completely different game. Exactly from that moment. So like last 15 minutes. I don't know if you saw that was the same thing, but literally getting chances left and right. And Kulusevski just goes on one and takes the ball from the right-hand side, cuts in, and just a fucking beautiful shot to the bottom left corner to tie the game up, and just what we needed. And then again, as soon as we picked up again, just peppering Silvestri there at the other end. Dybala off the bar. Dybala had another great chance where he shot it, goalie saved it, came back out, and he headed it over to Morata, and Morata almost headed that one in. If it wasn't for Silvestri to get back, that would have been a goal for sure. But again, it was rusty in places during this game. The passes weren't clean at all. But what did you think there of the end of the game? Did you think I thought Dybala was going to score for sure, but unfortunately it didn't happen. Obviously, Vrioni came on as well towards the end to add another piece to the attack to try and get the winner. But unfortunately, it was a little too late. And yeah, what do you think at the end there?
I enjoyed the last 30 minutes more than the whole game. I should have just turned on then.
If only we could know, eh?
Yeah.
But yeah, so go ahead, continue on. You're so quiet. You're so quiet. Don't be shy.
And Silvestri turns into prime Buffon. Like what? Come on, man.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, for sure, in the past, if we were playing someone else, we would have had the rub of the luck, and would have scored. But it's just it wasn't happening today. It really wasn't. Yeah, like I don't know if this is going to be a trend or not, but really it's not looking good going in. You want to kind of set the right foot, set the right intentions before a big game against Barcelona. Obviously it's at home, but you want to be playing the right way, and that wasn't the right way at all.
I totally agree.
And
like,
it's going to be tough.
Noticed is like every game we start playing pretty like ass in the first half, and then we just come in at the second half like a total different team. Like we should just start off as how we are in the second half, and end as
Yeah, well, that's what I liked about the Sam game. Like I said, I was on La Panquina with Roman, Graham, and Albert, and we started really well in that game. And then obviously it's been a little bit of time for since then, but it was not like that today at all. Like not at all. And maybe because Ronaldo's not in there with the motivation or anything like that. I think having him back is going to be key. But that also creates more problems in how you're going to line up. So
we can't rely on him.
Well, that's another thing too. You got to with this COVID, you don't know who's going to go down, who's not. So you have to you got to be able to play without him. And I think today showed that we're too reliant. And I think Morata was decent. He didn't get enough touches on. He didn't get the right touch on a couple balls that he had a couple chances. Like you said, the chance for Bernardeschi where he skied it. But I mean, some people were not too pissed off about today. I think for me, like I said, the leash is getting slow, is getting thinner and thinner, or it's getting tighter and tighter because there's too much to pass. There's too much to give. I mean, we're only 3 points back of top. Milan obviously has a game in hand tomorrow, but it's not looking good. But we're lucky. I mean, we don't have that. We get that 3-0 win against Napoli, and it gives us 3 points. But without those 3 points, now you're 6 back. And I mean, sure, you guys can say it's early, whatever. That's fine, but there's a little bit, we look at the certain instances. We look at, the good games. You could say, Kiev, we came out well. You look at the Sampdoria game, we came out well. Okay, we made a lot of mistakes in the Roma game. We're playing the mid and the forwards were pushing way too high and getting way too flat and had no one to kind of triangulate. You look at other games, we're kind of falling asleep. We're not coming out in the right way. You look at Pirlo with the decision not to take Rabiot off, and then he gets the red card. The decision to start Bernardeschi today. The decision to keep kind of rotating the formation to start Portanova against Crotone, who really didn't have an impact to that game. That's kind of the questions I asked. Now, I'm in no way, shape, or form saying Pirlo out, and I know there's been some people saying Pirlo out online, which it gets me every time. But yeah, I don't. I think there's serious questions that need to be asked. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, Pirlo needs to get his shit together
Yeah,
and find something that works and keep using it.
yeah,
Can't be changing shit every game. Like you're not
exactly.
gonna find a solution.
Yeah, I know exactly. And I think with what was good about Sarri last year is he actually had a pretty good form at the beginning of the year,
Hmm.
if I remember correctly, and we were winning a lot of the games. And we kind of found this lineup that worked and just kept using it. And now I don't know why Pirlo thinks he needs to, you know, try these different things. I mean, hopefully he's thinking of a greater plan where he has an end goal where this is the formation that he wants to use and he's just trying to mix things up. But I think there's too much on the line this season to kind of still be mixing it up with 5 games in. Um, you gotta to me, you gotta get the train rolling. You gotta get the wheels turning. Okay, this is how we want to play. Sure, guys are gonna go out injured, but for the most part, this is how we want to play. And then hey, if you come up to a game, so that's why I say it's disappointing that we couldn't play Napoli because if you have those first 3 games where you kind of solidify who you want to play, which he didn't do because he changed it a little bit against Roma, but let's say he did have like a solid 11 that we were sticking with. Then in these games, sure, you can put in the Frabot or whoever, the Portanova or the Vrioni, or mix it up. Maybe start McKennie, start Bernadeschi, stuff like that. But now that it's kind of been a shambles where we're keep mixing the lineup up, we don't know who full strength really is and what the preferred lineup is. So, and then now we get injuries, so that's adding more fuel to the fire. And I just think it's going to be tough. We look at who who's really going to be starting next game. I hope that was a sign that Bernardeschi doesn't. But for
Yeah.
me, I've put this online multiple times. I think we got to go 4 at the back, especially coming up,
I agree.
because you're covered. And this is why I tell everybody that Alexandro is so crucial and so needed. And I think people generally underrate the guy. We need that balance. Sarri was using Alexandro as like a third center back because he knew that Cuadrado was going to keep going up, and really you're not going to have enough time for him to go all the way up, and then if they counter us to come back. So he was
Mhm.
using Sandro as that defensive piece, and he was getting a lot of shit because he's not helping up with the attack enough. Well, it's got to have a balance. You got to have a cohesion, a balance in the team that you're not going to always being attacking, always defending, because if you do that, you're going to concede a lot of goals.
Yeah.
Um, there's no way you're going to be attacking and protecting at the same time. Guys aren't going to be for 90 minutes, teleporting up, teleporting back. It doesn't work that easily. So that's why you need those pieces that can help you out. You need that guy that's maybe a little bit more defensive, but who's solid. A guy that's maybe more offensive than defensively solid. But for me, that's really it in terms of what I see. But again, I see a 4-2-3-1. That's my perfect formation. Maybe 4-3-3 if we have to, depending on who's in, who's hurt. But for me, you go Alexandro, whether that's Chiellini or Demiral, whatever. We can do either one of those two, and then Delict with, I would say now, Danilo on the right side. I wouldn't even consider Cuadrado as right back anymore. Not from what I've
Yeah.
seen. You go Artur and Bentancur. I think those would be 2 perfect holding players.
Mhm.
And then you go Ronaldo on the left, Dybala middle and Kulusevski on the right, and you can have Morata up top, I think would do magic. I think honestly,
I agree.
and then you could
That
do
sounds really good.
if you want to put Chiesa as on the right as well, or however you want to switch it up, right? Like there's multiple possibilities, but I think 4-2-3-1 I think would suit us perfectly. But we gotta wait and see. I'm not the coach of the team, so I mean those are my ideas. But yeah, I just think we need a change. I think the three is not working to our benefit, in my opinion.
It's not gonna work in Europe.
Well, and it hasn't. In times when we've tried it, it hasn't worked. So you look at the runs with Conte, and teams have figured it out, and it's just playing that underdog style works only so much in Serie A, where you can nick a goal at the 90th minute or 75th minute, which we were really doing those 3 years under Conte. And it was almost like we were really good at nicking a last minute goal, or always going one up, or whatever, and kind of sitting. Which Allegri was very defensive, and when he got the lead, or he would hold, draws and whatnot. But you're always sure you weren't going to concede. Well, I think now, with everyone wanting this new style, and four at the back and more offensive and moving the ball a lot quicker, that's just what you're going to get. You're going to concede like a few more goals. So defensively, I don't think we're going to be as good. Some people have been saying we look defensively worse than we have. I just think it's the way of the play nowadays. I think if we were in a style where we're just sitting back and we're playing, that Grinta style where we're sitting behind the ball, I think fans would be freaking out. So I think that's why we're kind of like, oh, we're not as good defensively. Well, yeah, Barcelona also isn't as good defensively, and they've won Champions League. So
Yeah.
that's just the way it is. But let's get into 3 up, 3 down, regular segment on the show for post games. Who were your 3 worst, or up to 3 worst, and up to 3 best players we had on the field today?
So 3 worst, 3 best.
Yes.
All right, 3 worst. Bernardeschi, Bonucci,
And the best?
Quadrado, Bernardeschi, and Bonucci worst. And best, I'll say Kulusevski, Ramsey, and Arthur.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. Nice. Yeah, I would agree with you on the worst. I think, Bonucci, I think, is always going to get pegged as, I don't think he had a particularly good game, but I agree with your other 2 completely. I think Bernardeschi and Quadrado were not great at all in this game. And I just think that we need to, like I said, I think Quadrado, my opinion, Quadrado's a bench player, and Bernardeschi's gone completely. And those are just my 3 for down. The 3 best, I think that's a tough discussion to have, because I would agree with you saying Kulusevski obviously scored the goal and he added a lot. There's a discussion for Ramsey. There's a discussion for, Dybala a little bit, because he did show it towards the end. I know it wasn't a great first, 50, 60 minutes, but I think he added a lot towards the end. I'd have to go. I think I would stick with you. I think I liked what Artur was doing, generally speaking. Maybe not, offensively, and so I'd go him, Ramsey, and Kulusevski, like you said.
If I could fit Morata in just for because I'll probably put him in if I could fit 4.
Black or best runner up.
Yeah.
There's no solid rules, so we can change it up. We go 3 down, 4 up. That's no problem for me. But some key things, obviously, about this game. Obviously, I found we were going down a lot. Like, I know that there was a lot of call. We'll get into this. Kind of one of the polemiche of the game. Obviously, we had the the offside, which we talked about kind of extensively. But this going down, and a lot of people online, you hear the commentators that piss me off all the time. A lot of these tackles, I think, were, they were tackles, right? They're fouls, whether they clip you or not. I mean, uh, momentum's going to take place. So you're running a guy, nicks you here or there, you're going to go down. So I don't understand why there wasn't this. The ref really didn't do himself any favors by kind of laying the law out. He was just kind of like letting these fouls go amok, and then some were softer than others. So every time you see, you're starting to get pissed off about. It's like, okay, make the fucking call. And then he finally gave him a free kick there, Dybala at the end, where like I'm shocked that the commentators weren't saying, well, he should have stayed up, because literally everything, it's like, well, the players got to know. It's like, no, a foul's a foul. Like the player shouldn't be having to interpret how much do I have to sell this, or how much, how many times do I got to roll? Like, you get hit, a foul's a foul. So to me, it was that, and then there was a whole bunch of just going down way too easily, because they knew that the fouls weren't going to be called. So then they're trying to sell everything, and I hate that. It's like, get up and play, keep going on, and do your best, and fight through it, and the calls will come. The calls will definitely come. But Kulusevski definitely should have started, like we said. Kind of any fine points that I put during the game. Let's see. Calls against us. Yeah, there's really nothing anyone could say. It was the past couple days have really proven that you can't really, there's no real, and maybe a lot of people have been conspiracy theory saying, oh, they're doing this because of the Napoli, because we got the 3-0 game, and now we got to worry all season. I'll leave that up to you guys if that's what you think. But I don't know. We'll see. Something else that happened obviously before this game that I didn't mention in the news. Not really, that important. Depends if you're a collector or not. But Pharrell came out with these ugly ass jerseys, 15-16 away. Reinterpretation. And like I said, I like sneakers. I like the merch. I like all this stuff. And Anto almost got me to buy it. I think there's still a couple left, possibly. I'll have to go check after this. But I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking. Actually, the tracksuit, which again, if you guys don't know, I know it says sold out on the website, but if you do like that tracksuit, which I think it's pretty fire, it's got the white on one side, black on the other, and then it's like a light pink accents, is going to be out on November 2nd. So it isn't sold out. There's also a couple other websites. If you're, like I said, if you're a hype beast like myself, you like sneakers, you like the sneaker culture, Yeezys, Adidas, Nikes, Jordans, all that kind of stuff. You'll probably have found that you can also get those human race jerseys in other stores. So don't sweat it if you've missed out. Just reach out to me. I'll find something for you if you really want one. If you really want one that badly. But yeah, no, I was just kind of joking online about reselling these and selling them for like $300-400. But that's not me. I think the other ones looked a little bit better. You look at the Man U one, you look at the Arsenal one. Those are like actual, and even the Bayern one. Those are retro jerseys. So I thought, yes, they were not like amazing, not my first thing, but like, let's say you're a Man U fan, like I wouldn't mind picking that one up. I think it's an interesting, statement kind of shirt. But the Juve one, I hate how they use. I know they got these rappers and NBA players wearing that particular jersey, and I'm assuming that's why they picked it. But for me, I was not a big fan of it. I don't know about you, man.
Yeah, I did not like those jerseys.
And I think
I don't know
who
who
go ahead.
designed them. Like
Well,
some
Pharrell, man, Pharrell. Apparently, that's yeah. I mean, it looks like a kid's drawing, eh? Like a kid's like coloring. But I don't know. It's weird to me. And then Real Madrid kind of had their third black jersey. which I thought was all right. But other than that, yeah, I mean, a lot of people bought them on a lot of these other sneaker shops are sold out already.
Bruh.
So I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of people that buy stuff just to say they bought it nowadays. And I'm a pretty hardcore like collector of jerseys. Like I had to get the Palace jersey. I had to get I was pretty pissed when I didn't get the 120 anniversary jersey, stuff like that. So those shoes came out. I got the Ultra Boosts on me. I got the ZX whatever 6000s. They're in my closet. I'm gonna show them in a video, but then you have this orange jersey that comes out, which I think is looking a lot better now. Now that they've seen. Well, I think it looks a lot sharper than like just as like a jersey. I think it looks way better than what this shit is.
I think they should use different color shorts, like black shorts or something. Too much orange. No.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's like the home jersey. I like it with the black shorts better than the white shorts. It's just a contrast for your eyes, and I think when you have too much of one color, especially when you're doing black and white stripes,
Hmm.
it can just take over. Take over like the one color is just too much for the eyes. But we'll have to wait and see if there's going to be any other jerseys coming out this year. I wouldn't be shocked because we got to get that. We got to get that bank because there's no one in the stands, as it looks like they're shutting down all
Yep.
the stadiums again, which is unfortunate. Again, something I missed in the news, but just came to my head. And yeah, it's been really weird with the spikes that are going on. Again, take with it what you will. I'm more under the impression that you got to really look at these hospitalization numbers, excuse me, and the death rates I think are still not at a level where we got to be really scared about it. You look at it in Canada, they're like freaking out over 100 people in the hospital, and
100? That's not a lot.
yeah, so it's and actually a couple other people were freaking out that we lifted kind of we're doing a pilot project where you can do the rapid test so you don't have to quarantine for 14 days, which I think is a brilliant idea to get people to, travel more. Let's get the airlines a little bit busier. I really want to go on a vacation, maybe not to Torino to watch a game now, but I really need to go to a beach or something and just get away because it's getting too much. This year has been way too difficult and way too stressful, and when you have to stay inside or I mean up here it's already cold, like there's snow on the ground. So um, for us we're going to be inside probably for a bit. It looks better next week, but we'll have to take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, no, let's hope everything gets better and we can stop these cases from going up so that we can really enjoy, and hopefully that doesn't mean that there's going to be another cancellation, right?
Yep.
But really let's kind of look into uh let's see what let's look into the next game. I'm going to look up obviously what Pirlo said. I should have had this ready, but give me your thoughts on what you think next this next game against Barcelona is gonna be like. Who not necessarily who do you think is gonna win, but how do you see the game playing out, Angelo?
Um, I mean, if we can only draw against fucking Crotone and Verona, I mean, I'm not very optimistic. Even though Barcelona is not great either,
True enough. True enough.
I'm worried.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting game of two teams that aren't necessarily playing great. Let me just check quickly what happened with Barca this weekend. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's right. They lost the Clasico to Real Madrid, so they're going to be hungry for a win as well. I think, yeah, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be a difficult game. I'm not saying that we're going to lose or anything. I think we have every possibility to win, but yeah, it's not going to be an easy game. It's Barcelona at the end of the day. They're not going to come down and lay down, especially with the fact that, they know that potentially Cristiano won't be, 100%. And for me, I wouldn't even risk it. I know a lot of
Yeah.
people are looking at trying to get him back as soon as possible. I wouldn't even bother. Because one, if everybody starts getting sick and he comes back too early or whatever, they don't then really you have risk of shutting shit down again.
Yeah.
And two, how fit and how really match, I know lots of people say, oh yeah, it doesn't, you can just stick him in there and he'll be fine. No, you got to have some. You look at him at the beginning of the first game of the season. To have to take 10 shots, he wasn't even clinical, and people are saying, "Oh yeah, now he's going to be ready after a few days." What are you guys crazy? So, anyways, those are just my 2 cents. Obviously, Del Piero, he had have a couple quotes here from him after the game. From what we've seen during the last 60 minutes, Juventus created so much and who undoubtedly deserved the victory, but Verona did not steal anything. I think it's a fair point. Verona did what they had to do. It's not like they were also worthy opponents, I would say as well. And he also talked about a mental problem. He says no, vice versa. I would say reacting like that after conceding the goal was amazing. So some thoughts from Alex Del Piero, our legend. Obviously, with another quote again on Kulusevski. He impresses me mentally. He arrived at Juve. Looks like nothing has changed for him. He plays like he's playing in a small club without asking any questions. So yeah, I agree, 100%. And now some quotes from Pirlo, obviously on Kulusevski. We rested him because he had just played 6 games, but yes, he is strong. So I guess I don't know. They think he thought that he needed some rest after playing all of those games. I mean, these are professionals. I don't know about that. I think you got to be put in the right lineup out there. And not winning against Crotone, you kind of want to set the message, and like I said, set the momentum, turn the wheels, right intentions going into this Barcelona game, and you want to make a statement, and by just throwing a lineup together after not playing well against two lower teams. Yes, sure, you win against Dinamo Kiev. I don't think it's the right way. Um, Pirlo talked about Dybala responding well physically. Bonucci against Barca, I don't know. We'll see the medical results tomorrow, so that's still something to keep an eye on. I hope for the best because I'm not sure what the like I said, even if we do go to 4, you're still bringing guys back. So you're still bringing someone back, either that be in a 3 or in a 4. Someone has to come back to replace. So fucking these problems, man, already. We could have done better. Obviously, Pirlo said we have to improve, but I see that the team is growing. My idea of the game is taking shape. I don't know about that, but anyways, Arturo understanding what I want from him. Obviously, the players have to get used to it. We often miss the last pass, but I'm optimistic. So, and again with missing a couple things. We decided to start Bernardeschi today, who was just coming from an injury and was inactive for a few weeks. Castellano can play with Morata or with Dybala, depending on the characteristics. His classic position is to start slightly left and cut inside. Dybala, Kulusevski can do that too. I don't know. It just seems like such a generic press conference. I don't know what your thoughts are, Angelo.
Um, I don't know. I don't really have anything to say.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how we come out on Wednesday and who gets the nod and who's ready and who isn't. But yeah, I mean, they've said that he's asymptomatic. They've obviously sent the documents to UEFA saying that Cristiano Ronaldo is asymptomatic, and hopefully that means that if he tests negative 24 hours before the game, he's allowed to play. But I don't. I think that's just betting too much. It's betting too much on Cristiano to play in this next game. Um, let's get into kind of our final thoughts here. Um, what I like to do is obviously allo stadio or at Torino, and I'm not sure when the last time you've been to Torino or been to the stadium or have not at all. Again, any one of those possibilities is could be the case. If not, because I like to hear about your experience, if you had any funny moments meeting players, or any funny moments at the game, or whatnot. Maybe you watch some games in North America. If not, just your most memorable Juve moments, and we can kind of talk about anything that you want to bring up.
I only been to Torino once, and it was going to my mom's friend's house.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know when that was. I was pretty little. Uh, I don't know.
No, no memorable Juve moments.
Like after I came to the States, I kind of stopped following for a bit because I don't know what the fuck I was doing.
Yeah, oh, it's
Yeah.
all right.
Um. I mean, I don't really have anything to say. I can't recall.
Well, that's no worries, man. That's no worries. Like I've been posting a past kind of meets present series on current and obviously former Juve players, and most recently, obviously, I've had Marcello Lippi, who was the Azzurri coach in 2006, and brought the World Cup home to Italia. So just want to, maybe we'll talk a little bit about that. And guys, I'm releasing those kind of on the fly, a little bit here, a little bit there. I don't want to shoot them out all at once, so to speak. But yeah, obviously you'll see on my socials and on Instagram and Twitter. And I hope you're liking them. We've had uh, obviously Cristiano and David Trezeguet. We've had, I believe the next one was, who did I put next? Was it Camoronesi? Can't believe I'm forgetting. But anyways, Marcello Lippi and Andrea Pirlo, obviously our current coach right now, and obviously the record amount of games. So I had 650 Serie A games for Buffon, and we had an edit with Wojciech Szczesny. If you haven't seen that, like I said, go to my socials, check them out. I think they're phenomenal, and my boy in the shadows is cooking up a lot of great edits, great content. So I got to thank him for that, and I got to thank you for coming on, Angelo. Obviously, at Wales, Wales Golf Madrid. I'm sure you'll know who I'm talking about, everybody. But yeah, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for bringing me on. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. And anytime you want to come back, we're more than happy to have you. If you know anyone else who wants to come on, make sure you get them to reach out to me. Guys, if you've made it this far, I really appreciate it. Again, like I said, if you haven't already, please smash the like, drop a subscribe on iTunes, Spotify. Please subscribe or follow. Drop a 5 star if you believe we deserve it. That would be great. That would be great. And yeah, as always. Oh, and what I don't know what's going on. You guys are following my personal like crazy. Um, which is not something that I'm not saying that I don't want, but like I want to kind of dial it into the podcast. So I Juventinita DL on Instagram, Twitter. Please drop a follow if you can. Like I said, it gives me the exposure, it gives me the help with any retweets, likes. We get that audience growing, and we have some merch on the way. I'm happy to say, if everything goes well, it should be coming out in the next month or so. But again, logistically with COVID and whatnot, this is obviously going to be my first kind of drop, and I've been getting some good feedback on kind of the pre-concept, the draft ideas that have been kind of floating around in the DMs. So hopefully that comes to fruition quickly. But yeah, I just keep it tuned, keep it locked to obviously the Twitter. Mostly that's where you're gonna get up to date on when the podcast drops. Or if you're, like I said, hit the bell for notifications, drop the subscribe. It's always gonna come through your feed, whether that be on any of the platforms. Guys, thank you so much. Oh, and I just wanted to mention, I know it kind of sounded a little depressing or whatnot on the first podcast that came out, I believe, after a couple weeks. I'm all good to go, all smiles. We're back at it. And I look forward to having more of you guys on the show. As always, stay tuned. And as always, fino alla fine. Forza Juventus. Ciao, guys.